Hi.
Hey,
Hello there. Hi.
good morning, y'all.
Hi. Are you ready to talk about this Elden Ring?
Oh, we're
Certainly.
just gonna go into it, huh?
I mean,
Yes.
it's 7 a.m. somewhere, as they say. Here, hang on. It's 7 a.m. somewhere.
Oh, that
Woo!
Foley work.
Woo! So
Loving it.
Do you think the Foley industry has been disrupted with all these people buying nice microphones, like all these streamers at home?
No.
no, I think Mick Foley's doing fine. I think
Yeah,
Axel
I hope
Foley's doing all right. And then
that's my constant thought. Is
if
like, I hope
if
McFoley's
people
okay.
yeah,
if people were buying like meat slabs to punch and get the sort of sound from that, then the Foley industry would be in trouble. But the
yeah.
microphones is only half the battle. I mean, come on.
Okay.
You know.
I've got
That's
a folder full of sound effects somewhere here. If you ever want to just get into some Foley stuff.
personally recorded Foley work.
Yeah, just say here's my train noises. Yeah, let me do. I'll do it. Chugga, 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 woo woo. Here's my Elden Ring impression. What the fuck am I doing? Where am I going?
Yeah.
What the
Let's
fuck is going on?
I barely
Why are
know.
there so many fingers?
Yeah, a lot of fingers.
Why are we talking about fingers so often? It's creepy.
I think I found
Very-
like some fingers with like Dorito dust, but it's not Dorito dust. It's like demon dust.
demon rot.
Rot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. At the end of the day.
Don't lick it off.
Is our fingers to George R.R. Martin as to feet are to Quentin Tarantino? That's my first question about Elden Ring.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
I've only
Yeah.
seen the Game of Thrones, and I don't remember a lot of finger.
Isn't there
There's
a guy
hand
named
talk.
Littlefinger? Isn't there
That's
a
true.
little finger?
Yeah, there's like
Yeah,
a
she
hand
talks
of the
like weird,
crown
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand of the King
Hand of the King.
is like
Right.
a finger badge that they wear. But that's like just the art direction in the HBO show.
We finger badge in
don't-
here.
Yeah.
Just get some finger badges.
You gotta
And
earn your
put that
finger
in
badge
your
around these parts.
inventory. Yeah.
Um,
So, all right. How do you want to do this, man? How are you feeling about Elden Ring? I feel like we've been talking about this game a lot behind the scenes. And now we can finally talk about it in an
Yes.
untarnished fashion.
See what you did.
See what I did there?
Yeah. I have about like 40 minutes of gameplay. If we want to just chat over that, we don't necessarily have to talk about what's happening in the gameplay. We can allude to
Sure.
it occasionally. Yeah. Do you want to do that?
yeah, let's do that.
All
Let's
right.
let's get it going.
right.
I think Jan, you've probably played the most of it out of the three of us.
Yes. I wound up starting a new character here, because in my first initial playthrough, I was kind of wandering a bit aimlessly, and
Yeah.
this is the opening area of the game after you get past the tutorialization of everything, and it's that open world thing where it's like you could just go anywhere.
Yeah.
And that can be part of the problem, right? Because I think all three of us were very lost. In terms
I never got found. I spent hours with this game, and I've really just been wandering around this area, the area to the northwest. Like I haven't done anything. I don't feel like I've done anything. I've wandered around a bit. There's been a lot of fights that I've been like, I don't think I can do this fight yet, and I've run past it or around it. And so I've just been running around going like, this is pretty.
Yeah. And I was telling Bacalar prior to this in my original character that I didn't have the crafting kit because
Oh,
I just didn't buy it because I didn't. I visited the shopkeeper we'll see in a couple minutes here, but I never bothered to look through it. So I had all these items and materials, but I didn't have the ability to craft them. I even found recipes to craft other stuff, but I never bought the crafting kit. And that was probably maybe 6 or so hours in until I checked the guide that the developer sent along, which kind of actually I wish I consulted with before, because I wound up missing a lot.
Yeah.
I'll have to dig through that guide a little bit more, because I looked at it from a very early, like, okay, what am I doing, and didn't find an immediate answer to, like, basically from right here, where do I go, other than like this vague kind of the castle, and I just
the guide that was sent along kind of reads like it's like the Silmarillion. You know, it's like this index. It's like this insane sort of like it's like instructions for a nuclear reactor. And I think it's worth saying, like, it's pretty wild when you get a guide that's so thorough and incredibly detailed, speaking to the depth and what's sort of at play in this game. Now, I will come out and say I've played about 8 hours of this game, and I have not read any of that guide, and I've made tangible progress in this game.
Oh yeah, totally.
And the guide is like, it looks like what they sent is like the first handful of chapters of whatever their official strategy guide is. Like it's a PDF of whatever. It's not,
but it's like, but the vast majority of people will not have access to this sort of thing, right? I mean, it is. So I think it's helpful to kind of give a bit of context with my relationship with From games going into this. I've never come close to completing a From game before. Not the closest, the furthest I've ever progressed is probably Bloodborne. I think I put in about 20 hours into Bloodborne. And, obviously there's a very, very common thread throughout all of these styles of games. But I think, for whatever reason, Elden Ring is clicking with me because I've started to kind of just let go and realize and put a lot of trust in just all of the many things that make up this sort of game, and how different it really is from everything else that we play.
Yeah,
because it is so much different.
And I think a lot of the appeal for me, because I'm in a similar boat, Bacalar, and I also tried Sekiro out for a handful of hours. Part of the appeal, just listening on, listening on was everyone comparing notes as they go through a Souls game, because they're all fairly linear to an extent. You can kind of tackle stuff in different orders somewhat, but here everything's such an open world that I think the three of us had radically different experiences. Because this guy is one of the first NPCs you meet.
Talking about Santa Claus?
Yes, I was very confused.
So if you go to his recommendation thing, he was like, you should buy the crafting kit.
Yep.
So that's why I bought the crafting kit. But I'll do you one better. I bought the crafting kit and then never used it once.
The other class that I played as had a bow and arrow, and I ran out of arrows very fast. And I was like, man, I'd really like some arrows right about now. And for some reason, I never thought to come back and visit this dude to purchase stuff. This is his shop menu. On top of selling the crafting kit, he'll also sell you a handful of recipes and some armor and torches and whatnot. But I can't wait to hear people's, I don't know, the routes or their suggested, like, hey, you got to go here first and then you go there. Because it's so wild. Like, Jeff, you didn't find the maiden character who kind of is like the doll equivalent from Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So you didn't have the ability to level up for a while.
Well, yeah, like my first couple of sessions, and it seems like the things that triggered it was literally like I went back to a bonfire that I had been to before and sat down at it, and then this cutscene just happened, and I'm like, well, what the hell? How was I supposed to know that? Like, it just, it was frustrating. It was like, oh, okay, I guess this random thing I did, and I had another instance like that in the roundtable hold a little later on, where it was just like, what the hell am I, like, I'm not 100% sure what I did to trigger that, but it triggered, and now I guess I get to move on. And that stuff seemed like a bit much for me. But yeah, I spent some time running around going like, I'm really not sure where I'm supposed to be going, what I'm supposed to be doing, and I can't seem to level up. I don't know. Like, it just, yeah, it was a bizarre opening to the game for sure. And like you, I think like the rest of us, I played through damn near all of Bloodborne, and I played a pretty decent chunk of that Demon Souls remake for PS5, and a little bit of Sekiro as well. And yeah, that's my history with the franchise, as it were. And this made me want to play Bloodborne.
Well, is it because of just how wide open this is, and the sort of like more structured experience?
I think that's
that
part of it.
Bloodborne
So last night I finally just like started running in different directions, and just like I found a bunch of crazy stuff. Like I found a big old fight where two factions of like, it was like dudes versus ghost dudes, and they're fighting each other, and you can just stand there and watch them, and you'll get souls off of every kill.
Yeah.
And that was useful. And yeah, but I wish there was slightly more of a like a mark on the compass or something like that was like, here's the recommended route, because it really does feel like you're just getting dumped out into this world, and it's a feeling of like, I'm not sure if I like some of these fights that I've run past because they seemed difficult. I'm wondering, like, should I have just done them anyway and just gotten good, or it's hard to know what the order of operations is. Is this something I'm supposed to run past, or am I supposed to just actually do this fight? Because I played this character class as well, and he kept dying in like 2 hits, and it was just not fun. Like at some point it was like, like I had a really bad time with the combat against any of the enemies that were not basic enemies. Like this guy here, motherfucker. But
so if you look at like the where you just were, Jan, there's a
the bonfire equivalents, the sites
bonfire,
of grace.
they're little sites of grace. There is this sort of arc that emanates out of that, and at one point the game is sort of like, well, that probably leads you to like where you need to kind of be and go. And I didn't necessarily
wait a
take
minute.
that as
Hang on. Are you saying that the arc coming out of the bonfire is leading you in a direction away from the bonfire and not to the bonfire?
Yeah.
Because I saw those and went like, oh, there's another bonfire up ahead.
It's an exit.
God damn it.
So there is a screen that says, yo, go that way. Like at some point in the beginning, it's sort of like, it shows you your path. Don't get me wrong, it is super vague, right?
Yes.
Like it is
because
sort of,
it's not like spelling out like, hey, go to this destination. It'll just because there'll be a bonfire or a site of grace that
let's see if
like
it shows it here. If you show it,
we'll probably see it again.
Yeah, you'll see it again.
And it was pointing me like directly to a cliffside, and I'm like, I can't climb this.
Yeah,
I think.
Right.
So it really, and as I explored more, I had to climb around or go around and everything.
I think like the thing that I had like a bit of an epiphany with Elden Ring, where I was just like kind of realizing, oh, okay. Number one, anyone who thinks they can just sort of, breeze through this or doesn't have the time to invest in this game cannot enjoy the game, right?
Totally.
And that's okay, right? Like if you don't have dozens of hours to spend on this, you will simply not do anything with it unless you're just following a guide beat by beat, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine too if that's how you want to experience. Shit, I might find myself in that situation too, just because I don't have the time, right? I've been talking to some of our friends, our colleagues, friends and family, and I've talked to people who've sunk 45 hours into this already, and I'm just like, oh right, you can do that.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Oh, I love these are like after I figured out how to beat this guy, like you just feel so good. But anyway, and this isn't even a boss, by the way. This is just like a regular enemy in the world. So I think once I realized like, oh, this is the exact opposite of a Forbidden West. where a Forbidden West will just be like, this is what you gotta do. Fucking go here, fucking do this, do that. This could not be, like, if there was some sort of spectrum of guidance, you'd have Forbidden West at the beginning, and you'd have Elden Ring beyond the end. Because it is so on you to figure it out. And that's what it is. And it's more so than Bloodborne, and it's more so than Sekiro, and it's more than all of those games. This is completely up to you. Like, and I had that experience because I didn't look at the guide out of the gate. I was just sort of like,
and I think that's the beauty part, right? Because
totally,
they're the first major story area after this opening bit. I completely missed in my first character until I consulted that guide, because I didn't turn left somewhere, and I was like, holy crap! There's a whole castle here. And like I was so focused on staying within certain areas because of the embargo restrictions for video that I didn't explore as much. But it turns out like this whole area is still within the confines of that. Like there's a whole beach area, there's several camps, and I kind of like that you can just go up to that huge troll and be like, yo, what's up, dog? And then like this camp of just regular soldier dudes. As well.
Totally.
And it's funny because like these remind me of like the classic open world camps where you would climb a beacon or whatever to get a lay of the area. But knowing that this is a Souls game and a From game, as soon as you rest up at a bonfire or a site of grace, these people will all be back.
They're all back.
Yeah. And
yeah, I mean, no, go ahead.
No, go.
Yeah, like I said, like, you just have to, that is the unique thing, right? Like, what other game do you have to sort of, like, get your affairs in order, right? Like, you have to sort of, like, make a plan to play this thing.
I feel like I'm mentally suiting up every time I booted this game up. I'm like, all right, this is my agenda here. I think I'm going to go explore over there. And after playing a little bit of Horizon, I kind of had to break the muscle memory of being as fluid as you can with Horizon. And this is a Souls game, right? Like, this is a melee-based character, so there is parrying, there's straight-up blocking. I'm never using this huge shield on my back. I just want to two-hand the sword and swing away, baby.
Interesting. I'm a big shield guy.
I tried to be. This was the class that I went with, and I tried to do a lot of shielding and didn't have amazing luck with it, with the timing stuff. I think it's just one of those things that, obviously, the more time you put in. Yeah, that's definitely like, it's probably worth noting that I definitely went from like playing several hours of Horizon to turning that off, pivoting my chair, and launching this. And yes. Not an easy thing to go.
Yeah, which is like, hey,
so look at this. So look at these light here. It's going into the bonfire. So I was just like, oh, there's a bonfire ahead, and didn't think anything of it in terms of, hey, it's trying to point you in a direction. I looked at it more of like, oh, there's a bonfire ahead.
Some of them have arcs like flowing out, and some of them are sort of like welcoming. Okay. But yes, they're not all the same.
Yeah, after you activate them, some of them will start having the dust arc leading towards the next destination. Folks watching that are sensitive to spoilers at home, I do skip through most of the dialogue, so you should be mostly okay.
And I know we just, for me, like I said, this game sort of, if anything, what it's achieved is like maybe understand. Like, I think I get it now. I think I get the From games in a way that I hadn't before.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, like there is this great tragedy where I'm like, okay, if I can probably play this game for a year and not finish it. Is the vibe I'm sort of getting, and a part of me, as much as I think it is this really impressive sort of presentation, there's always going to be a part of me that's like, oh man, I want to see all of the wildly creative bosses and all of like the strangeness that this world has, and you know, there's so much to see here.
Mm-hmm.
I get filled with that dread of being denied that, right? And I guess in a way I'm sort of just like, oh, just please give me just like that one mode where I can just do this. It could be challenging and you can keep the way the game exists normally with that difficulty, but like there is still something up inside me that's like, I won't be able to probably do this just because of where I am in my life right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's something I really, really get upset about, knowing deep down that like, I'm not going to be able to spend 20 hours a week on this game. And
well, I feel like I've heard that, the run times have been somewhere in like the 30-hour mark or so. Is that?
Oh, I could.
I've talked to people who've played way more than that.
Yeah, if someone is mainlining it and good at the game, unlike myself. Like this, so for instance, this was something that the guide suggested to do that I didn't come across at all, which is meeting this character that gives you the ability to summon, to use spirit ashes, which are friendly NPC summons. We'll see them in a little bit. Because after meeting the maiden equivalent, I just popped on my horse and started like running around everywhere. Also, check out, she has like Goro hands.
There's a lot of that in this game.
There's a lot of that that's easy to miss if you don't like really stare at the models for a long period of time. You're like, oh wait, there's something going on here.
Yeah. So
and you can miss something if you don't exhaust the dialogue tree too.
Oh yeah. That is a thing in From games, folks. If you're new to them, exhaust the heck out of that dialogue tree. So in certain areas, you will be able to use spirit ashes and summon a variety of NPC like friendly spirits to assist you. They won't follow you around everywhere. It's only in specific portions like this camp area, and if you stray away far from it, they will leave you. So I thought I could take on this whole army with my 3 wolves.
There's 3 lone wolves. They're not exactly lone, are they?
And I think I'm gonna join them in the afterlife.
So here's what fucked me up. I unlocked the spirit. I unlocked the spirit ability, but I didn't unlock the bell. I didn't find the bell. So I had all of these spirit NPC, sort of like allies. I had like a jellyfish.
Yeah.
But I couldn't summon them because I didn't find the bell, and I just didn't get there. I assume like, something will eventually happen where I get that. But that is part of this thing where it's like, you have to be open and cool with the idea that things make like this game you have to make this a social experience. You cannot lock yourself in a room and do this in a vacuum.
I think that's the best parts of these games as they've kind of gained popularity. Like when you think back about the initial release of Demon's Souls, like that was very much like us getting a disc in the mail, putting it in, and not, just like looking at it and going like, this seems terrible. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
From Software, another banger. Back to Kingsfield, you morons. And then like it became the biggest game in the world. And you're like, oh wait. And it's definitely like that, comparing notes and doing all that other stuff, like being able to experience it kind of not in a true multiplayer sense, but just totally like comparing notes with people. Like I feel like that is the big fun of this game. Like I had a lot of fun with Bloodborne that way, being able to talk to other people who had played it or were currently playing it. And I think this game will probably be that like times 5 just because of it being open world and the different directions that people can take. Like I was definitely looking for that hub world thing of like, hey, there's basically 5 corridors you can run down and pick one. And this is not that, at least not in a direct sense. And
oh, my wolves.
Oh man, these wolves.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and I feel like there's a lot of people who maybe, and again, like I was part of that like audience that was just frustrated and sort of like, fuck this. What am I gonna do? And I think it's stuff like this that makes me realize like, oh, this is why it's so good. It's because it is so open, and truly defines like what probably like at its core a raw open world game is, right?
Totally.
Like this is it. This is the pinnacle of that. And you know, like a part of me regrets not really soaking in some of the Souls game. And like this game also makes me think like, you know what? I'm definitely going to go back to Bloodborne.
Yeah,
and
this made me
kind of
wanna...
poke around and see what it says to me now, having you know this at least sort of cross my desk.
This made me want to revisit Sekiro after finishing this, but you know that'll be well into my 50s after I finish this game completely. And you know, this has everything in terms of like lore wise that folks come to lore from games for. Like every item has a description with a oddly intricate story, and you know the lore to be found through the environment is wild. Like if and when you clear this camp for the first time, there's definitely some stuff to explore and be found here. I think I actually only have 2 more enemies in this camp, but I have no more flasks. So oh yeah.
And you can get those flasks back, right? Like,
yeah.
So, you know, and look, like, again, I talk about how a lot of times I'm lost, but I also learned a lot without even talking to anybody, right? And I mean, like, in our circle of colleagues and whatnot, and or even the guide, like, I figured out that, you know, there's Torrent. I figured out that, like, I can do the horse thing.
VPN,
I figured out what I could get away with in terms of like flask regeneration, and then assigning what a you know, how many numbers of flasks will fill up, like how you can charge that sort of stuff too. So
I think that's
I
new,
think a
right?
lot of that too.
Choosing whether you want magic like faith points or hit points in your flasks. I think that's new, right? Because normally it's just every time you rest, it just fills up your healing flasks.
Yeah, the allocation. Yeah.
And also when you clear like a small Jeff there, the arc is now leading away from the bonfire.
Well, thank you. Okay, now maybe I'll get somewhere.
But once you clear like a small group of enemies, like maybe a small encampment, maybe a group of 3 or 4, it does refill 1 flask.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't have I believe it doesn't have the Bloodborne element where you hit enemies back to get a sliver of your health back.
No,
I mean, that is
my favorite part about Bloodborne, because they just it's such the get up in that ass game of just like go get your fucking health back. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna. And yeah, man, I should maybe I should just play Bloodborne. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this game.
This whole area here, I completely skipped past. And I believe story-wise, this is where the game is leading you to go as you talk to the NPCs and your maiden person. And I kind of love the horse because of the mobility it gives you to kind of just dip out of encounters like this.
You needed this because of how truly open it is. Like, in retrospect, think about if you didn't have a horse.
It'd be miserable.
What would this game be? Right?
Yeah.
Like.
And I thought I
didn't use the horse as much largely because I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And it didn't, I mean, the world is big, but I didn't necessarily feel like I was, you can still run away from encounters on foot pretty well most of the time too. I didn't feel too disadvantaged when not being on the horse. So
there are multiple points in the game. If you die, there are these small statues that you can spawn at versus spawning at the last bonfire you visited. And those will act as kind of like little checkpoints right before you enter a major-ish area, which I think kind of makes the game a little bit easier if you don't mind being right at the front of like this place, for instance.
Right.
Just so you're not losing too much progress. Man, that fucking thing, dude.
Yeah, I've snuck
so
all
cool.
the way. Yeah,
fuck
your
shot
ghost
by
horse.
Fuck your ghost
horse.
Just
disintegrated.
But this is an element of From games that I like, where it's like, hey, here's this like carefully thought out set piece. We'll give you the ability to just literally walk around it, and completely skip through all of it.
So I'm assuming you are about to touch
Yes.
on this boss here. Okay.
Yes. Very briefly, in terms of this recording.
Yeah, I mean,
so where can I ask where you are? Because I never found this part. So this is
it's through Stormgate. Is that
right past that area with the first kind of big troll dude? And
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I rode past this part too and never saw it.
See, we're doing it. We're doing that element. We're talking
Yeah.
about it, and we're trying. You know, like
I also think I'm gonna change classes. I don't know that I don't know that a partial magic class is for me. I don't know that I'm just the magic and casting stuff that this character had. I wasn't even sure what it did.
One of them is like an emergency heal that I constantly forgot.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had.
Yeah.
And the other one is makes your hands and feet glow. So I assume it's some kind of damage buff, but I don't know.
This guy's just got infections
guy.
galore. He's really needs
People
to
are
talk
mad
to a
about
doctor.
body hair in video games. Wow.
I
Check out
mean,
this gentleman.
he's just like a wart with a cane.
And this is one of the other aspects I love about From games. Just like, here's this boss that just looks ugly. Like, hey, what if the Beast from Beauty and the Beast? What if he was just messed up?
Yeah, what if he was like a barnacle?
Yeah.
With a fun cane, and this is one of the earlier boss fights where it's like, what's going on? And I'm not going to apologize for my poor gameplay performance.
I can't believe you're just not using a shield. Like, I don't like. I've gotten, so I haven't beaten this guy yet, but I've gotten it down. I've gotten his health down to like his name, if that makes sense. Like, I've gotten the red down to his the text above his health. It was interesting you had this happen to you in that hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what you did? So you summoned a cooperative before you got in there, right?
Yeah, I didn't wait for them to actually spawn in. You can use your faith points to summon like those friendly NPCs, and generally just like other Souls games, before a boss encounter, they'll throw in like, hey, here's a dude that can help you if you want. And let me tell you, after I beat Margit after I revisited that encounter in my original save, boy howdy, I just exhaled and I was kind of like shaking afterwards. Because it was like, oh my god.
Did you do it? It wasn't by yourself. It was with the cooperative, or no?
Without the cooperative, because I'm a professional gamer.
Wow,
so
pro gamer Jan.
Your maiden will eventually take you to this place, which is the table of round, the round
table hold.
The round table hold, yes. And this is like a friendly area, like kind of like a hub-ish place where you can upgrade weapons, learn a couple spells. I believe there should be a vendor somewhere around as well. And like, this is a thing where they talk about like, hey, Ashes of War, you can add abilities and skills and affinities to your stuff, but I hadn't actually found the item to add that to any of my stuff yet, which I think is interesting. And I wonder if that will throw a lot of people or send a lot of people away from the game, where they'll come across these systems, but they don't have the specific items just yet. And the game isn't telling you, hey, go to this part of the map to find it. So I could see that adding to, on top of the difficulty of this game, throwing or making people bounce off of it.
It's incredibly light on direction, but it gives you all of the technical things you need to know, right? So like, if you dig into that index and you match up stat points and realize like, oh, I can't do this unless my dexterity is a 17. Like, again, that information's there. So much is dependent on you putting in the work to kind of figure that out. And like, that's the game. Like, that is what this whole thing is you putting in the work.
Like, for the longest time, I thought this was the person I had to beat to progress through the game. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I stayed in this area for probably 2 hours, going like, is there another way out that I'm missing? Because after I died, another door opened, and there was like, and this was the situation where I did turn to a mutual friend of ours and go like, hey, what the fuck? And he just said, oh, I just fast traveled out of there. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah,
you can fast travel.
Yeah, I don't believe we've touched on that, but you can just fast travel to any of the sites of grace you've already visited.
Yeah.
I did get to a place where I could not.
Oh.
So there's something, and we don't have to like go too deep into it, but like, again, it's for the most part you're gonna be all right. But I did have to basically find another grace point because I got trapped.
Oh no.
I was literally like trapped in a fake treasure, and it warped me to an unleavable land.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like I was kind of scared shitless. I'll be honest, like it was a good 20 minutes of me being like, oh fuck, did I just break this? Am I broken? Am I locked up? But no, you get out of there and it's okay. Fast traveling is
essential.
Something I need. Yeah, like you absolutely have to take advantage of it.
So this is the area that I went to, and I completely skipped past Margaret over there, and I eventually made my way to the hub area because the maiden invited me there. But this is one of those places where it's like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna keep vaguely following these bonfire suggestions, and maybe go over there. And I've really enjoy watching speedruns of Bloodborne and other Souls games, and I can't wait to see how someone will try and break this game instantly.
Yeah.
And this is also when I realized that Torrent has their own separate health meter that you can craft berries to feed to your ghost horse. Okay.
This is just how horses work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is real world. This is just straight up. If you turn on the horse TV channel, in between horse races, they show horses doing this.
Just the horse platforming event.
Yeah.
You know, so like what I've taken away, and I guess it's less about this specific game, and I guess more about all these From games, is like, think about how nothing else even comes close to the amount of agency and accountability levied on the player, right? Like no other game does this. No other game is like, yo, you are like, I cannot oversay how much you are on your own.
Yeah. I know.
No one else gets away with it.
Yeah.
Nothing else gets away with it.
This game doesn't hold your hand. I feel like it actively like leaves you out in the cold. Like this left you on the doorstep of a firehouse when you're 5 and you can remember it. But it's maybe it's like Stockholm syndrome where I'm like, I just need more. I just need to play more of this because there's weird stuff like this popping off all the time. Like, why is there a little hot air balloon? What's his deal?
Yeah, I got over here last night and definitely had moments of just like, all right, sure. What the hell are everything is creepy and they are all there to kill you, and it's fun to like last night was finally the time when I actually like started really having fun with the game, and it was really in a sense of just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go places and see things. And I saw all of this stuff and was like, okay, it's like some people spent some time making really freaky shit, and it's awesome.
Oh, there's so much freaky shit.
The jumping attacks here, like that's fucking rad. Like there's guys with long poles and stuff, and it seems like the best way to take them on is to just run at them and jump into their face and stab them, and that feels so good. It's a game of contrasts.
Yeah, 100%. And I was like, is it bad that I threw stuff at this hot air balloon? But I got some runes out of it, so that's cool. The second set of bosses that you encounter in this area, let me tell you, one of them is pretty fucking sick.
I mean, that's my favorite part of the game. All the are just like what everyone looks like and how fucked up everyone looks.
Yeah. Like, look at this skeleton dog.
Oh,
like,
yeah, weird bone dog coming for you.
This is like the weird Chihuahua looking one. Not Chihuahua, terrier. There's some of them look like weird, fucked up terriers. I don't know if it's this guy. But like, oh, it's just so upsetting.
Yeah, and this is, I really needed to break the muscle memory because I think I always fall into panic mode for some reason when I'm playing these games. Oh, oops.
Nice. This is a good move.
Yeah.
This is a great move. Solid.
No, there's a warp zone down there.
Oh man, this game should not just say you died. It should just say good. Like, good. You're dead. Good.
Hope you learned something.
Yeah, and I feel like for the most part, I mostly do wind up learning things each time I die.
Yeah. So the servers are currently down pre-release. Are you playing, when you recorded this, were the servers down?
When I recorded this, the servers were down, yes.
Yeah, see
so
the messages
like the previous,
out,
like all of the games that they have made, the world is also full of notes from other players, and you can do all that stuff too. Like that was how I like the spot where you jump down for that kind of like invasion tutorial looking thing in the round table hold. Like there were messages there just saying like jump for surprise, and it's, it's very much that same vibe.
Yeah.
It seems like there is like an update coming or something's happening.
Like that jump attack. Like
Yeah,
I
it's pretty good.
The jump attack is fun.
Yeah.
Jan, I can't believe you're rocking this with like just the shield on your back. It just seems
I should have sold the shield because it's holding me down, honestly.
It's crazy.
So I think I'm going to start over as just like a pure melee class and not this hybrid dude, and do kind of what you're doing, but even like more directly, and just stab fools.
Oh yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't wait to come back to this game after this. And I saw this guy with a chain, right? And I thought like, oh, maybe he's chained to the ground. I should be good to explore around. But we'll quickly learn that's not the case. I don't think we ever mentioned this, but this is the PC version of the game.
It looks so. I cannot. If you've got the hardware, it is fascinating.
Yeah, I wish I recorded me bumping this down to like low quality, because then it looks like Bloodborne on the PS4. Still pretty good, just a little sharp.
Yeah, the system requirements don't seem unmanageable for minimum and recommended and stuff like that. Like it's not crazy. So it seems like a wide variety of people will be able to get a good looking game on PC. And we've not seen any of the console versions, right?
Negative. So yeah, this is I was kind of stuck here.
No, you're just gonna stab him in his little toes.
He never
Get his little toes.
He doesn't like reach further enough. Yeah, I don't know. I just love that you could wind up boning yourself and getting into these dumb situations where it's like, well, I live here now, and I thought
I'm gonna fast travel now.
Right.
Yeah,
fuck that guy. You got him.
I took him with me.
Nice. That's amazing. Oh shit.
And then just like I can't wait for folks to experience this and like get themselves into other dumb situations, because I was constantly forgetting that like, right, I can fast travel. I can go somewhere else. I can get out of here. And I think that is it in terms of what I have captured to show y'all today. Yeah, I'm really liking it. This Backlar, I think you said this during a meeting, but this game has its own specific language that it just fully dives all the way into.
Yes.
That will be definitely hard for a lot of people, I'm going to assume, to get into. But if you invest in it the way that other folks are, even just like dipping your toes into it, I think you'll find a lot to enjoy. And
Do you
definitely
feel that language is notably different from other Souls? Because just to me, this felt like very templated. Like this is one of those. Obviously, it's a big open world and all other stuff, but like the trappings of that type of game are here in terms of the lore on the items and just the way they kind of reveal the world to you, or don't in some cases. Like that stuff felt to me very much like a lot of the other games that From's been making as of late.
Yeah, I think there's a similar, for me, it's like, I think it's this universal barrier that had to be broken for me, where you're like, okay, I have to untrain myself in a lot of ways because we're just conditioned to play these open world games that you don't realize how much your hand is being held, right?
Yeah.
And you basically have to, like, if you're doing it by yourself, right? Now that this is obviously a game you need to play on a level with friends, with reading stuff online. Like, you have to do that. You could do it by yourself. That just seems like you are basically taking a college class with no professor. Is like how
some people are way into that style, like that way of playing the game. I think that's totally fine. Like, I think I didn't start having fun with even Bloodborne, which I think is probably still my favorite of the games that they have done. Like, I had my most fun with Bloodborne when I started talking to people, but I did reach a point with that game about halfway through where it was like, all right, I'm just going to go. I trusted enough of, like, I'd figured enough of it out, and I trusted myself and my abilities to where I was just like, I don't need to talk to anybody anymore. I'm just going to go. And I think that people that are seasoned in this type of game, they're probably not going to necessarily need to talk to other folks. I just think that's a really fun way to play it.
Yeah.
To be able to compare notes and do all that stuff. Yeah.
Without that's, I mean, for me, the first game that did that was PT. And I was like, oh, okay, this is the game that is encouraging this on, like, you have to know certain things that are unknowable within the game.
Right.
But yes, like, for me personally, Elden Ring is this, it's, like you said, people who are seasoned in this will understand, like, how important all reading is and listening to what every single NPC has to say, and all of the little, seemingly inconsequential lore and all this sort of stuff. Like, you really need to almost study, right? You have to you have to let it wash over you. And that is, look, that's tough to do, like, a couple hours a week,
It's a big ask.
It's a big ask, but but knowing what is ahead of you and what that kind of payoff would likely result in, it's easy to understand, like, the sort of rewards that await you, and to me, like, that shows me, like, wow, this really is something.
And that's
nothing else really touches.
I think that's where I ran into trouble out of the gate. It is a factor of, like, literally coming from playing Horizon here to going, okay, let's see what this other game's all about, and then just mentally not being in that zone at all, and running through the early parts of that game where they maybe tell you things like, the slightly coded run towards the light is good, like those sorts of things just washed over me and just, like, didn't make it, because I was already skipping so many fucking cutscenes in Horizon. It was just like, all right, whatever, talk, let me go stab somebody, and, like, I did it to myself on that one for sure. So and it makes me want to start over for a lot. I was already thinking of starting over for a lot of reasons, but now I'm just like, yes, definitely different class, and then just go in disciplined, focused, the way you kind of have to be for these. And
I hate to bring up the example, but it does remind me of, like, the type of open world that Breath of the Wild has, where it's like, yo, like, we're going to encourage you to explore, and we're gonna, like, lightly hold your hand and, like, lightly guide you here and there. But in my time with Elden Ring, I feel like I've had a worse time when I try and fast track my way through everything versus kind of exploring around, because then you're finding gear, you're finding recipes for stuff, various random items. Like, there's a whole part of the crafting where you need to have cracked pots to craft something so you can throw projectile weapons, and I completely missed that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
I saw that, and then when we were just watching the footage now, and you got to that initial shopkeeper, and he was literally selling cracked pots. I was like, oh fuck, like, because I kept thinking, like, well, I'm eventually gonna find some cracked pots, and then you'll see some shit. Like, oh no, you totally just can buy them from the dude.
Yeah. So I feel like the game does reward you for exploring around, but it also rewards the people that are, like, combing through areas with, like, a fine-tooth comb, like, scouring everything, because there are portions of the world that also will change at night. There's, like, various skulls on the ground that you find that during the day or even during the night have no significance, but maybe one of them will have glowy eyes
Yeah.
once in a while, which is wild.
Mhm.
Just all this fun random crap that you can find in the game, and I can't wait to like compare notes with people or like see people's experiences, even just within like the opening 5 or so hours, whether or not they bounce off it or not, like where they wound up going. Like I hope there is some way to track what my footsteps in this game, where I wound up running to, and like my map routes versus someone else. It's, I don't know. I'm having a great time, and I just wish I had a grappling hook like in Sekiro.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's you say that about most games.
Yeah.
Did you ever? So when I first started playing it, I ran out of that area, ran out of that first door into the open world, and then was like, well, let's see what's behind me, and then went down there. And I won't get into the specifics of it, but it was not a fight I was ready for.
Yeah.
No.
There are
Not ready for any fight in this game.
And so I felt like that was
basically.
that was a lot of my experience with it, was just like around every corner was something, and it was that feeling of just like, I don't, again, that not knowing, am I actually ready for this fight, or do I need to come back leveled up, because it's not always easy to tell, because obviously you're taking so much damage on every hit anyway. It was a matter of just like, do I need to be better at this game, or do I need to be stronger with the character? Should I not be in this zone at all yet? Like, it wasn't always easy to tell. That area over with the hot air balloons and stuff, like, they were definitely like, there's a pack of wolves there that did way more damage than the pack of wolves like from 3 hours ago. And I was like, okay, that seems like a good indicator that like this is maybe a higher level area, because I'm getting fucked up. And so I went back, but yeah, I think that's the stuff that obviously you just have to learn. But I think there's a part of me that sometimes wishes that there was like a little bit more of a hey,
of course, like I will always beat that drum, and this
we're gonna wink and nod at you a little bit more directly about where you should go than it does. But you know, that's not this genre, and it's kind of awesome to see them stick to their guns so fucking much in a game that is like dramatically more open ended, at least in appearance. You know, maybe we'll, you know, as people finish it, maybe it'll be like, actually, it's not that open, or, you know, something. But
there
but
are
the initial
also
impression it
dungeons
gives,
and stuff.
Yeah.
That go back to that feeling that it is of something super linear and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I think the openness really benefits that this very highly disciplined sort of like lore embracing thing in a way that the other stuff is not. I think this just proves like this is what it almost feels like, this is what this was leading towards all along, right? Of like, this had to, like, they're open, something so open and so seemingly like undefined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the true way to kind of really, like, you know,
the real Dark Souls
visualize what they were going for. Yeah, exactly. Everything you've done before is bullshit.
Yeah, this is
well,
the
I guess
story.
like also like they had made a lot of these, right? So I think like it's this being such a dramatic change is also really cool too, because you know, if they had put out another game and it was like, hey, we've renamed bonfires again, but it's still the same basic concept or whatever, like that would, you know, whatever, there would be plenty of people who would eat that up too. But like this feels next level in a way that that Sekiro didn't, that like Bloodborne didn't, like kind of the post or you know, kind of stuff that got away from Dark Souls. Like those games feel like twists on that formula. This feels like the true next step in that lineage.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Finally, they've reclaimed the Kingsfield roots by putting more field into it.
Lots of field.
Yeah.
I feel like the one thing that sort of exists, and this is the experience that I went through, is like you know, historically you try and play, you know, someone who plays a lot of video games but maybe not as disciplined and as, you know, demanding of time and focus as a Souls game, and you go into this and you try and play the game, and the game's just like, fuck you, idiot, right? Yeah. And I wish there was more, like, I know this because I'm involved in this world, But I just wish like this was a way more obvious thing that was front loaded, where it was like, okay. Like I know you've swam in all kinds of pools. This pool's lava.
Yeah.
Like this is a different pool, and that's okay. You're going to have to go into it with a different mindset. This is not a video game, right? This is like a test, and that is what is enjoyable. And that is like, if you want to just watch this thing without the subtitles and without the sort of like this is what you are getting yourself into. And I just think for people's mental health and not breaking controllers or TVs, that needs to be out there more. Maybe it is, and I'm just sort of like not aware of it, but I do think like
done
that
at this
should
scale,
be a more acceptable way to talk about this.
It's the thing you wonder, because like as this franchise, as From's games get like bigger and gain more notoriety, you do start to wonder how many people stumble into them a little unaware, because they're just like, oh, I heard a lot of people talking about this Sekiro game. What's this about?
One of those.
Hey, these ninjas. I liked those Tenchu games. They made those. Let's go. And then they play it and go like, oh shit, what? Like fuck, whatever. Games got soft. Like games got soft. They did. Games don't come with manuals anymore. So the first 2 hours is like a long tutorial, and I think that's fine for what games are today. But this is not that, and it's not necessarily like saying like, oh, it's a throwback to when games were games either. It is a twist on the formula that says like, oh, we're gonna place a lot of trust in our players to do the right thing, and not all of them will get there, but that's, we don't, we're gonna make our game, and I appreciate that. If nothing else, like there's just a certain amount of just like, hey, like we're doing our thing over here, and yes, we're certainly watching what other video games are doing and learning lessons on how to make these in different ways as we go as well. But there's just a through line through these of just like, hey, we trust that you're going to be smart enough to eventually figure this out, but we're not going to put a bunch of icons on the map. You're not going to climb a tower and go like, okay, here's the 9 side quests, and here's this, and here's that, and then your nun is not running around with a sword going like, oh, maybe I need to climb this. Like there's none of that. And, it is still bold, even though they've made a lot of these. It still comes across as just like, oh shit. I saw someone last night, I forget who it was, comparing Simon's Quest, the second Castlevania game on the NES, which is like very open-ended and like the solutions are obscure, and saying like, this is kind of a Souls game. And like, oh yeah, huh? Because but at the time that game seemed like bullshit, because it was stuff like, yo, you need to walk to the end of this path, and there's just a cliff here, and you just need to hold down and crouch for 3 seconds, and then the item you need will appear. And it was full of a bunch of garbage like that. And this is not that, at least as far as I can tell. I don't know, maybe there's a spot I need to crouch that I just haven't found yet.
I'm curious to see like the crowd that are big fans of George R.R. Martin that may not be very big into video games, that try this out because they're fans of his work.
I wonder what that does.
And just to see how hard this is compared to other games that maybe they harder than that they're used to.
Yeah, and do you see? I mean, I'm not into his stuff per se, but like, does any of this seem like? No, I'm not into the Railroad Martin. Does any of this seem like? Do you see his fingerprints anywhere on this, or does it just kind of?
That's the thing that I've been trying to figure out loud too, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe the tree stuff.
Maybe in terms of volume of everything, but like, there's always like an obscene amount of lore stuff in From games that I'm.
Yes, I see the connection. Here it is. It's as hard to play this game as it is for him to finish books.
Okay.
That is, the difficulty is similar, I would imagine.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, by all accounts, his work with the game was done years ago, and he did more setting than individual story beats or something. If I remember
Of
right.
course,
So,
I can't imagine him
like, no, this lady here is going to talk to you about a finger here, and then
I
this
don't think
lady
he's
up the
writing
road is going to
dialogue.
also talk to you about a finger. Instead, he just wrote fingers on a piece of paper and slid it across the table, and they went like,
Go on. He's like, nope, that's all you're getting.
That's all you're getting. I gotta go.
I don't know if he smokes a pipe, but I feel like that's when he lit up his pipe and then
like a
ran
corn
away.
cob pipe. Like
Yep.
just definitely.
Yeah, I mean, but it's wild. I did not think. I remember before this game came out, I was like, I can't wait to start this, and that's it. Like that's what I was looking forward to for a year. Like I'm gonna start this so hard, and I'm happy to say that like for me a personal achievement of like I think I've broken through the mist of like me being very scared of these games and really embraced what they are and what they represent and how they exist. And I think it was a growing and learning experience for me where I was like, it's okay to ask for help and to talk to people and be like, you don't have to be the pro gamer. This can be a collaborative experience. And I think there is this ultimate weight that's been lifted of like, this is what this game is, and this is why it's so special and so different and unlike anything else out there. This is what that is. So that combined with just how I just love the weird shit. I love how fucked up everything looks and all the enemies and the attention to detail on everyone's what they wear and just all the places you'll go and how strange everything is. As tough it is and as hard this fucking game is, all that stuff puts me in a place where I just want to keep being there and doing it.
Yeah.
And, it's exhausting for sure, but like worth it without a doubt.
Yeah. And I think where I got to with it was like, I need to start over. And maybe not today even. Like I might just wait. I think there's just I need to be in the right place for one of these games.
Right.
To
let the dust
enjoy
settle.
them. Yeah, and I don't know that I'm in that spot yet. Like there's a lot of awesome shit here, and I finally broke through to the point last night just where I explored enough to feel like I wanted to see the rest of that world.
Mm-hmm.
But for just like a gameplay perspective, I'm just not there right now. I don't know if it's just like because there's a part of me that is still playing a little bit of Horizon, or there's just like 3 other games I'm playing, but like it's not a game I feel. And this was the same way with Bloodborne when I played that too. There was an element of just like, I need to just keep playing Bloodborne and not go play other games in the middle of this because it fucks me up too much. And so there's whether it's a headspace or whatever, but I don't feel like I'm in that space right now.
Yeah.
But
for what it's
I'm
also
going to keep
worth,
monitoring myself to go like, is this the time for me to play Elden Ring? And maybe I'll get back to it at some other point.
For what it's worth, there are also like a bunch of character classes that seem to cater to various different types of play styles. So maybe just you didn't find which one.
Yeah, this class here was the Confessor or whatever.
Yes.
I was not vibing with at all. I wanted to play Prisoner because his cool helmet is so crazy.
Yeah, he seems like he's having a bad time.
Yeah, but I don't know if that or the description of that class and what it's good at didn't necessarily line up with the way that I play stuff either. So I tried Confessor to be like, okay, I'm going to try a class that can do some magic because that's typically not the type of character I play in these games. And this, it kind of reminded me of why, like I just was not, it's did not have a great time trying to juggle that stuff and didn't find a lot of success with any of the magic stuff. So I think I'm just going to go with not even samurai. Like the samurai sounds interesting because it comes with the bow. But I think I might just go back to like whatever the standard, like, yo man, I got a sword, let's roll.
And there's like at least 3 of those.
Yeah, and give that a shot and see if I have a better time with it. But yeah, it's neat.
It's really fun. It's really fun. I still don't understand why this vendor looks like Santa. At first
because he's got gifts. That's why.
When I first fired up this game, right, and then I saw this guy, I was like, "Wait, is this an NP? Is this like another player? Can you just see them now? They're not like outlines like how they normally are." It's like, oh, okay. This is just a choice. Okay.
Definitely saw a lot of player outlines too, especially for a game that's not out yet.
There's a ton of people
wonder
playing.
if they were all real
sure.
or not, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean they all disappeared when the game went offline, right? When they were updating, so like
it felt lonely. Yeah,
it did. All the messages disappear. Like there's that whole element too that I feel like.
God, I loved seeing the player outlines of people on horses just jumping off things.
Just like I saw the ghost on a horse thing where the outline was so just jumping right into a pit of nothing, and you're just like,
did you land?
That must have been wild.
Yeah.
I say jump in every hole in this game. If you see a pit, jump in it.
It encourages hole jumping.
Yeah, if you have
actually, I mean, the first hole you find, there was I found a note in front of it that said like, "Jump in, friends," or whatever it is, and I thought like, "Oh yeah, sure," and then I realized, "Oh no, that's actually totally what I need to do. I need to jump in this goddamn hole." So,
get in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Elden Ring. It's out tomorrow, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Nice and early 3 p.m. I believe.
Yeah, Pacific time for PC only though. So the console versions are still going to be there like midnight or 9 p.m. West Coast time, like East Coast midnight. But at least here in the U.S. and they put out a big map saying when it's going online. But it sounds like the PC version will be up and ready to go first tomorrow afternoon. And we'll see how it all goes. There's a part of me that wants to load it back up just as it's coming out and just see how it goes. But I don't know. We'll see. That's gonna do it for us here, I guess.
Right on.
Are you both gonna stick with it? You both in it to win it?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I just
where I'm at now, I cannot just stop. I can't quit it.
The thing that I just beat that I was talking about earlier, man. Wow. Like it was one of those things where after I beat it, I looked around here, it was dark, and I just wanted to be like,
did you see this shit?
I just like patted myself on the back. I'm like, good job, man. Like you did that.
And then you ran in a hole and died.
I did. I jumped in and then I lost all of those precious runes.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. That's Elden Ring. It's out this week. And we will see you soon. Take care.
See ya.